Good morning, all. My name is Rob Stewart, and I'm joined by Jan Freiberger, who is our Chief Revenue Officer and is personing our exhibit here at the conference. And we're delighted that you're here, and thank you for joining us today. Online learning has been the focus of our organization for the past 30 years. Today, we enable organizations to more rapidly scale their process improvement initiatives. With compelling content, an all-in-one platform, and an integrated tool set, we advocate blended learning to, as you can see on the right, prepare people with the knowledge they need. And we have a project tracker tool that propels them to complete projects, and a communication system that helps organizations identify accomplishments worthy of praise. In 2020, online learning is suddenly mission critical. And in this session, we're going to introduce you to blended learning and ultimately virtual blended learning. And when you think about it, there are really two parts to every learning event: knowledge transfer and knowledge application. With transfer, you learn the knowledge. With application, you learn what to do with that knowledge. So blended learning is the intentional integration of this self-paced e-learning as pre-work. And you can see it's self-paced, interactive, engaging, in order to set up facilitated, instructor-led sessions, classes, events, meetings, where students focus on application. Done well, blended learning can deliver superior results. It can be a game changer. Done virtually and done well, and there are no limits to your potential impact. Done poorly, however, and the consequences could be catastrophic. Any training intervention is either going to make things better or it's going to make things worse. Please, if you're serious about your initiative, don't compromise on quality, especially with what much of what we've been talking about here at the conference is driving culture change and striving for everyone to become a competent problem solver, which are the objectives that many of our customers focus on. If you give your people great learning experiences, your returns will greatly exceed your expectations. In this session, I'm going to introduce you to 5 keys to deploying blended learning success that we've gained over the years in order for you to delight not only students, but all your various stakeholders in the learning experience. The first key is proper planning. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. If you do this well, you're going to avoid rework and false starts. So, who is the target audience? You really need to know the typical student, what motivates them, and their desired or preferred learning styles. What is the student to do after the training? Well-defined learning objectives are essential. When do they need to be trained? What you need, as we all know, is you need to assure that the support infrastructure, the people, the middle management, the senior management, the processes, the systems, all that support infrastructure is ready prior to doing the training. Where are your students? Anticipate possible barriers for students to access the training. Why is this training strategically important? You need to define the expected future state so the purpose can be clearly communicated. Think SMART goals. SMART being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timed. Next, how will progress be measured and the barriers to overcome along the way? A passionate, capable, and data-driven planning team will mitigate resistance and help you power through change, which is inevitable when you're changing the way learning is executed within your organization. Key number two. Key number two is blended learning design quality. In traditional designs, instructors both teach the information and facilitate its application. They both teach and facilitate its application. When you think about it, the knowledge transfer process, the teaching, is really a manual, repetitive task that is ripe for automation. So with the blended learning design, the teaching part is automated via the e-learning to gain speed, savings, scalability, reduce variation, and a way to teach everyone the same way, with the same material that's going to be taught the same way every time, and even at the same time. Measurement. You measure the quality of the e-learning simply by how well students are prepared for the application session. Let me say that again. The only measure of how good your e-learning is how well it sets up people to work together to solve problems, particularly in process improvement. This is a team sport. Now, you measure the instructor, whose focus is on knowledge application, by how well the students are able to apply the knowledge. And you measure the overall blended learning design by student satisfaction and with the pace and tempo of the e-learning / class session mix. Here are a few additional tips that we've learned over the years. First, offer e-learning without a blended learning process, and few will come. You gotta think, train, do. Next, deploy blended learning in a class format. It's a group of people going through a common experience. And in that class format, you have due dates, assignments, activities, and more. Everything that you need all in one place. Next, expect students to be accountable. You're transferring the accountability for learning the knowledge to the student from the instructor. So when you expect the student accountability, you need to celebrate the go-getters. You got to cajole the laggards, and you got to let non-performers go. Next, obtain the stakeholder buy-in so the blended learning students are supported. Mix e-learning so there is ample time for action and reflection. In the past, in process improvement training, there's been too much students having to listen to a fire hose. There was no time to reflect. Reflection is critically important in this. And imagine and create a blended learning design playbook for wide-ranging purposes. Now, that's a lot of kind of philosophy, but here on this next chart is a practical example of what I'm talking about. This is in our virtual blended learning green belt course. And this is session 3, which might occur 5 weeks into the class. This is typically a 12-week class with e-learning prerequisites that you can see down here on the lower left. So the students have to complete these modules as pre-work before they come to a class with an overall, and this is a 2-hour session, as you can see down here on the right. These are the topics that are going to be taught in class to support these learning objectives, to support this overall goal. Over on the right are the aids that are needed to teach this particular session, and here's the homework afterward, and the approximate time of the student. When we're talking about design, this is what we're talking about, so that each session is laid out in this way. Now, we'll come back to this a little bit later on in the session, but this is the level of detail that we're looking for when you're creating a blended learning design. For that to work, the third key is the e-learning has got to be engaging and effective for that knowledge transfer part. With blended learning, if you nail the e-learning, you've got a chance to be successful. If you misfire with the e-learning, you're likely going to fail. Now, student preparedness is the results measure, like we said, for e-learning quality. And for process measures, we look to something called the Kirkpatrick model, which you might find interesting. But Kirkpatrick talks in process measures about level 1 being reaction. Is the training favorable, engaging, and relevant? We measure that via surveys. Level 2 is learning. Was the intended knowledge, skills, attitude, confidence, and commitment attained? And we measure that often by post-test scores. Sizzling e-learning for some, as you may have found, is boredom for others. You develop to the target audience. Remember key number 1. For engineers, PDF documents may be just fine. Interactive instructional design, however, will probably be much more appealing to frontline workers. So what are the keys here? Sub-keys, structure. In your e-learning design, introduce learning points. Explain them, exemplify them, confirm understanding via knowledge checks, remediate, reinforce transition. Good e-learning, as you probably discovered, is so much more involved than voiceover PowerPoint. Next, in your content development, excel with scripting, interactivity, graphics, voiceover, video, and animation, but don't overdo it, and be sure to use pleasant voices. Learning styles. Provide options for both fast learners and methodical ones. Note takers really like downloadable student guides, so they don't have to do those tedious screen captures. And finally here, data. Use post-test data and time in course to improve and to identify the outliers. One of our customers, the U.S. Air Force, has really bought into this concept because via the e-learning, they can identify who are their future service superstars. You also know who to help. Key number 4, bought in and competent instructors. Blended learning instructors are guides on the side, so to speak, not sages on the stage. Like with all change, many instructors in the old way will thrive in the new way. Some will be pulled along, and others just won't make it. Again, student ability to apply the knowledge and deliver the results is the measure for your instructor performance, not the smiley faces anymore. So to excel, the instructors need to ensure accountability from the students. E-learning pre-work must be completed on time and on schedule. And for many, getting that pre-work done and having students find the time to do it is the biggest challenge. Second, and this is really important for instructors to respect the e-learning, they need to know it and not reteach it. They need to make it relevant in the class sessions, important and actionable. Third, instructors need to embrace the data. Scores, time measures, participation, and service really enable personalized coaching, which is the first time you've ever been able to do that. Fourth, master the technology. Practice. Glitches are inevitable, and bandwidth gyrates. Make sure that you, the instructor, do not cause the technology breakdowns. Fourth, trust your design. When executed well, virtual instruction engages better than in person. Keep class sizes manageable. Use the aids, the breakout rooms, whiteboards, whiteboards, chats, polls to involve non-participants. And this is something interesting that we found. Instructors have to be comfortable with silence. Mentor new instructors. We use 4 steps. Model by having the instructor to be watch, assist, observe, release. Finally, key number 5, enablement technology. Stakeholders are wowed with virtual blended learning designs. Remember key number 2, those designs that are supercharged by an automated, intuitive system. Leaders who can control the delivery and can make real-time adjustments are going to shine. Cloud-based platforms seamlessly integrated with an organization learning management system are a best of both worlds solution. Next, virtual instructors using tools that highlight special needs are going to be able to inspire higher performing students, and students that have simple, informative, step-by-step, all-in-one place access to blended learning activities, plus keyword searchability, are poised to excel. Here is taking that last session that we did now with an enablement system. This is a student view. So, and when they log in, this is what they're going to see in this particular session: the modules, the instruction, the materials they're going to need, everything all in one place. So there you have it, the 5 keys to success. We at OpusWorks live this, breathe it. We're eager to wish you well on your virtual blended learning journey, and would love to help, support, coach, enable you along the way. And we thank you for participating in today's session. So thank you, onward, and I think we're at the end of our time. Gia?
Yes, thank you everybody for joining. Stop by the booth if you want to talk a little bit more about blended e-learning. Happy to help you out. So thank you, Rob, very much. I'll stop the recording now.
Thank you all for joining us. Have a great rest of the conference.